Dave knows how.
Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to an update on the PTO maintenance video part 2. This will be part 3, and in part 2 I'll talk about this new PTO shaft that I got from Northern Hydraulics. And in that video I mentioned it being a series 5 PTO shaft. My original idea was just to put this on the tractor and let it go like it was. And one of my subscribers left a comment and went on to explain to me the difference between a series 5 and a series 4. And I have a series 4 here that I picked up, and it's the same type of design. And so I wanted to show that in the video. And anyway, the person who commented is Fred, I hope I can pronounce this right, McKeel. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Forgive me, Fred, if I screwed up your name, but I'm doing the best I can. So Fred, in his comment and in their conversation, he's explaining to me about the difference between a series 5 and a series 4. And he told me originally, he said, you know, the shear bolt in the series 5 is a 10 millimeter shear bolt, and in the series 4 it is a 8 millimeter shear bolt. Well, I disagreed with him. I said, I don't think that's right, because, you know, I measured it and they were the same, and I was wrong. I was wrong. Fred is right. The series 5 has a 10 millimeter. The series 4 has an 8 millimeter. Now, he went on to say in his comment that he actually used a series 5 on his L3800 Kubota tractor, which is a little bit bigger tractor than mine. And he felt like it was too heavy duty for even his tractor. So he replaced this bolt with a different grade bolt. So when you take out this shear bolt and you look at the top of it, it has two numbers on there, 8.8, and that is the grade that this bolt is. It's also got some letters on it, and the letters is about the manufacturer that manufactured the bolt. So he went from an 8.8 grade bolt and ended up using a 4.8 grade bolt, which is a lower grade bolt. It should shear more easily, and he's going to use the shaft like that on his tractor. So I'm going to do something similar to that. I wasn't able to find a 4.8 grade bolt readily available, and I wanted to use something that was more readily available. So the first thing I did, I went to Tractor Supply and I looked for shear bolts, and they actually had all this pack of shear bolts that they sell hanging on a shelf. It comes 3 in a pack, and it says shear bolt right on the package. And I bought a pack of those so that I could investigate and see what they were. After I got them home and opened them up and started looking at the shear bolt, I noticed the head of it does not say 8.8. It's got hash marks on it. So I did some investigating online to find out what these hash marks mean. I kind of knew what they meant, but I wanted to double check. This one has 3 hash marks, So I did a Google search, ended up at a website called Portland Bolt and Manufacturing Company. And they say sometimes there are lines on bolt heads. What do they mean? The lines on the head of a bolt indicate its grade. SAE J429 Society of Automotive Engineers bolts have radial lines, whereas ASTM, American Society for Testing and Materials, uses a combination of letters and numbers to indicate the grade. 3 radial lines will indicate an SAE grade 5 fastener. So these 3 radial lines indicate that this is a grade 5 fastener. So then I posed the question on the internet, what is an equivalent grade to 8.8? And on that same site, Portland Bolt, it came up, someone else had asked a similar question. Their question read as follows: what grade is a bolt coming out of China with a head stamp of 8.8? Portland Bolt responded with 8.8 is a common grade of metric fastener that is similar in strength to an SAE grade 5 or ASTM A449 bolt. So an 8.8 grade bolt is similar in strength to a grade 5. The shear bolt I got from Tractor Supply is a grade 5. So all that stuff is starting to make sense now. So when I went to put the shear bolt from Tractor Supply in here, I discovered that this is actually a 5/16, which a 5/16 is what fits in an 8mm on a Series 4. The Series 5 actually requires a 3/8 bolt. 3/8 is what fits in there. So changing this from a 3/8 8.8 to a 3/8 grade 5 is not really going to do me that much good. But I need to know, I need to have at least a starting point. So I posed the question on the internet, what is the load rating for a grade 5 3/8 bolt? I ended up at this chart. If I look under grade 5 and look over at 3/8, the proof load in pounds, and I'm assuming this is foot pounds, not inch pounds, is 6,600 for a grade 5 and a 3/8. Now, we know that a Series 4 is really what I need for the back of my tractor, for my size tractor. So a 3/8, a 5/16 grade 5 is what goes in the Series 4. So let's look up grade 5 and a 5/16, and we can see that the proof load on that is 4,450. So 4,450 is what I really need the proof load of this shear bolt for this Series 5 to be at. It needs to be there at a maximum or lower to give me the protection that I need. So if I go down to 3/8 and I go over to grade 2, I can see that a 3/8, which will fit this and take the place of a 10 millimeter, and a grade 2 is 4,250 pounds. So as we can see, that's 200 pounds less than a grade 5 and a 5/16 that would fit this Series 4 shaft. Hopefully you're still able to follow where I'm going with this thing. So my thinking is that a 3/8 grade 2 placed in a Series 5 shaft should get me well under or just under the proof load of a 5/16 grade 5 in a Series 4 shaft. Putting a 3/8 grade 2 on here should be all I need to do. Now, according to Fred, it also has to do with how hard you torque this nut and bolt together at this point of shearing. The more you torque it down, the harder it is to shear. So that is an important part of it. So I'm not going to torque this thing way down. I'm just going to run this nut up till it's touching on this side and then go about a quarter turn to snug it and keep this from moving around. And that's where it's going to be at. And if I just do that, I think I will be fine with this 3/8 grade 2 as opposed to a 3/8 or 10 millimeter grade 5 or grade 8.8. Hopefully I haven't made this too confusing. The thing is when I made this video about this, I said this may be a good option for some of you, and it may still be. But you need to be aware that the shear bolt that comes stock in there is a larger, heavier shear bolt, and you may need to drop down to a lighter shear bolt. The 3/8 grade 2 should be fine. Of course, with me and my mindset, and as much as I worry about damaging my tractor, you know I got to go a step further. So what I did, I took the 3/8 grade 2 bolt. When this thing shears here, this rotates around. So I rotated this around and I put the bolt in, and then I marked on the bolt where the shear line is going to be at. I removed the bolt, I chucked it up on the lathe, machine lathe, and I machined exactly on the shear line, and I reduced the size of the bolt only at the shear line, not the entire bolt, only at the shear line, and I reduced the diameter of that down to 5/16. So now it's the same size as this, but it's in a grade 2, not a grade 5. So now let's look at grade 2, 5/16. The proof load is 2,900 pounds. That is way under the 6,600 pounds that we started at. Now, is cutting that groove absolutely necessary? Probably not. What I'm doing is I'm trying to make this shear. I would like to see what it takes to make this shear. I want to shear it. I want to know that it's going to shear, which is going to be kind of hard to do because this is not going on a bush hog. It's not going on a rototiller. It's going on a finish mower, and it's not likely you're going to shear a bolt on a finish mower unless something really bad happens, like your gearbox fails. And I don't want to have to make my gearbox fail just to prove this point. Anyhow, this is the way I'm going. I'm going to use this with the reduced point at the shear line. And this isn't, reducing the point at the shear line is not something that I came up with, okay? I've seen that done on shear bolts on other implements. I can't remember which implement it is, but one of these implements around here that I have has a notch cut at the shear line of the bolt for that implement. I believe it's my bottom plow. I believe the bottom plow has a notch cut at the shear line. I believe that's the implement that has that notch. So that's where I've seen that at, okay? And on that, it's not a groove cut all the way around. It was just a notch cut on one side. It's like they took a cutoff wheel on an angle grinder and just touched it right there and went down into it a little ways, and that was it. They didn't go very far. So you could do it that way if you felt the desire to. Anyhow, this is how I'm going to go about this thing. I'm going to put this on here like this. I'm going to run this. This is a nylon locking nut. I'm going to run it up till it touches this and then turn it about 1/4 of a turn. That's it. And I feel like right there will be fine. Now, I've already done it. And I put it on the tractor and I hooked it up to the mower and I used it and I cut the grass all around, and it did not shear the bolt, and it functions fine, and hopefully it will be enough protection for my tractor. I feel more confident with that notch and with reducing the grade of the bolt and all that sort of thing. I feel like I'm in the right position now where I can use this Series 5, even though it's a heavier duty PTO shaft, on my smaller horsepower Kubota tractor. This is similar to what Fred did on his L3800, because this shaft is actually made for a 47 horsepower PTO. Is what it's made for. It's made for a PTO drive that's 47 horsepower, okay? So I feel like that I've done the necessary thing to make this work and give me the protection that I desire. I didn't want to just not make another video and let you guys know what Fred has explained to me. And Fred, if you're watching, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me with this and getting me on the right track with this thing. If it hadn't have been for you, I would have put this on just like it was and used it, and Of course, with, you know, a shear bolt, it would have been better than no shear bolt at all, but it still wouldn't have given me the protection that in my mind I thought I had. But thanks to you sharing your knowledge and what you've been through with yours, I know better, and now I'm able to share it with you guys, the rest of the YouTube community, tractor community. And if you do something like this and you choose to buy this series PTO shaft, change that bolt out. Change that bolt out. Even if you don't put the notch on it, just change the bolt out to a grade 2 3/8. I really think right there you'll be fine, because that drops it down to under what a grade 5 and a 5/16 is, which is what comes in a series 4 that typically would go on a tractor of a smaller, lesser horsepower tractor. Probably, you know, I don't know, 40 horsepower on down to, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. That there could probably be a complete video series on PTO shaft series, you know, because I'm learning now that it's not only just a series 5 and a series 4, but there are other series in there too that are smaller and probably larger. So, you know, these tractors, they can be, these PTO shafts and everything can be pretty complicated. It's a lot more to them than what we think. And I'm constantly learning, you know, just like you guys. I'm constantly learning. And I'm trying to share what I learn with you guys. And I hope you can appreciate that every once in a while I may screw up. Which I kind of feel like I did screw up buying this, well, not buying this, but getting this series 5. But who knew, you know? I mean, they didn't even know. Where I got it from didn't even know. So, you know, it's a learning thing. It's a learning thing. We're all learning together. Anyhow, I hope that helps shed some light on the situation. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.